Good morning and welcome to the EZFX Trading Room broadcast for Thursday, July 25th, 2016. My name is Bradley Freed. In the next 20 minutes to half hour, I'm going to take you through our watch list, and we're going to update the trades and the currency pairs that we're looking at on that list. If you have any questions during the broadcast, you're watching live, please post them to the chat room on this page. If you're watching the recording and you have a question, please use the community and post your question to the Trading Room group or private message me. Or you can also use regular email and send me your question at ezfxsignal@gmail.com. Okay, so let's get started. Let's just review yesterday's watch list first. We were watching the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar yen, and euro yen buy. On our newer open trade list, the Aussie dollar was open, and we said we wanted to go ahead and close it at break even when possible. The New Zealand dollar buy is open. Swiss yen sell is open, and we had an option to close if you wanted to go ahead and get out of it yesterday. The dollar peso buy was open, getting close to its target. Then our pound trades, the euro pound sell, pound CAD buy, pound Newsy buy, pound Aussie buy, and pound Swiss buy were still open. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the charts. We'll check each of these and see what's happened in the last 24 hours and update our list. Go ahead and start with the dollar peso because there's been a change in that I want to talk about. This hit its final profit target yesterday. So you can either continue to trend follow this trade, or you could have taken profit with a pending order at 18.89711. If you did that, if you went ahead and took profit, then we made a cool 708 pips on this trade. And actually, it may not have been 7.8. It may have been a little less. I'm not completely clear on where the original entry point was. I have to check my notes, but I'm guessing it was right up here, which would have been more like 573, but that's still pretty awesome. So this trade is now closed. And you can continue to trend follow. You don't have to get out. Just follow the trend following rules that we described in the course. And you can keep following it. And I'm going to go ahead and put this. This is such a good pair for this system that I'm just going to put it back up on the watch list for now. So the next time it sets up a trade, we're ready. And I'll be thinking about a sell probably in the future since our last direction was buy. Next one I want to look at is the Aussie dollar. This one was a little bit tricky. Remember, it hit its target here, and then it was in the red here. And I said, if you have an opportunity to get out at break even, go ahead and do it. And it did give us this opportunity a couple times here. And then after that, it dropped, and then it had this big spike on volatility. and it's up again. We've already taken a trade twice on this. On the second trade, we got a profit at the 50% retracement level for the target one portfolio. And then the second position, you either got at a break even or you stopped out. One or the other. If you got at a break even, you didn't lose anything on the second part of this trade. And actually you made 81 pips on the first part of the trade. So this trade is over. I'm not going to take another trade on this until it's a brand new setup. It was very difficult to trade. We were lucky to get some profit here, but we took a loss over here. And I'm done with it for a while until it shows me something completely new. So I will put it on the watch list. But there's nothing setting up now, and I certainly wouldn't get back into it right now. And I'm not even sure what the next direction is going to be on this trade. I'm going to wait for our system, our signals and indicators to show us what that direction will be. The New Z dollar is okay. This dropped too. It left this wick here. It got nowhere near its stop loss. It wasn't as nearly as volatile as the Aussie dollar was. And then it went up, made a new high, and it got close to the first profit target here. So this is looking good to do exactly what we'd planned for it to do. So we're holding on to try to get to this 50%. First of all, to get to this 50% retracement level at 0.71375. When we get there, we move the stop to break even, and then we try for the final profit target of the 78.6% Fibonacci retracement level. So that's all good as far as the New Z dollar goes. See, Swiss yen sell, we had an option to close that yesterday because our other yen trades, they hit their first target, we moved the stop to break even, and then the portion we left open to try to get to the second target stopped out. So you can see the dollar yen has actually moved lower again. Remember that we have event risk tonight with the monetary policy statement from the Bank of Japan. So I just don't mess with this. I don't trade news. I don't trade events, and I would suggest that you do not either, because it's like gambling. It's not trading, and you have the potential just to lose money on volatility. And if you're trading without stops, it's just idiotic. Just don't do it. There's no point. You're gambling at that point. You're not trading. So anyway, this moved lower, but the euro yen moved sideways after it stopped at a break even. The Swiss yen is in a similar situation. I would definitely close this. And to be honest, this is giving us a buy signal. If I was gonna choose one of these pairs to go ahead and buy, this would probably be the one. And because of the event risk, I won't. But we have a buy bubble. The triangular moving average has changed color. We have a Class A signal down here. So at the very least, you have a very strong opposite direction signal on this pair. And I would just go ahead and close it if you haven't already. And if you close it now on that second portion, we'll make, there's a nice 106 pips sitting there. And we've already made 214 on the first part. So I'm going to go ahead and call this closed. Is that what, plus 214? Yeah, basically plus 214. And then the Swiss yen is really setting up a buy, which I'm tempted to trade, but then I'm not, because I know that it's going to go nuts tonight. So potentially it might do nothing, but if the Bank of Japan announces stimulus, it could go down and go up. I mean, you get whipsawed out of these trades, and even if you pick the right direction, you end up losing money. So it's kind of a sucker's game, in my opinion. Then we have let's see, the New Zealand dollar buys open, the euro pound sell. Let's take a look at that. We're back to our pound trades again. These again, they're still moving in a range. The pound has climbed a little bit towards its break-even stop, but it's still just within the range that it's been moving in for the last several weeks. And I'm still in the trade for the same reasons. Got head and shoulders. I have a 35-year high on this pair. I think it is. Well, no, it's not 35 years, but it's matching a recent high here, made in 2013. And I think this is going to drop and get to this monthly pivot here eventually. So I'm staying in it. And if I'm wrong, my stop's already at break even. So the worst that happens is I lose nothing. And I've already taken some money out of this pair. Next, the pound CAD. This has, again, kind of moved up again. It hasn't broken through this zone yet, but it did get close and start to retest this high it made a few days ago. So if this continues and it breaks out, it should be able to get to our monthly pivot, I would hope. So I'm holding on to this. This is a 4-hour chart, by the way, but I think it looks pretty good at this point. 1-hour chart is kind of hard to see what's going on, but it's more clear when you shift it to the 4-hour, especially in these trades where we're in for a long time. It's very useful to look at the long-term chart because you can remember why you got in the trade, and B, you can see the entire trade from the start with the signal to where it's gone up to now to where you want to go, and it just kind of makes a lot more sense, in my opinion. And next, we're looking at the pound newsy. This trade has moved lower, but it's still within its range. It's just in the bottom end of its range right now. We got another Class B divergence line. We have a demand zone down here. I think eventually it's got to rebound up. We still have a lot of room to our break-even stop, so I'm just not terribly concerned about it. I'm just going to let it run. On the 4-hour chart again, this is a head and shoulders, and this low is the lowest it's been since 2013, before it shot up to here. Wouldn't that be nice? And I think we're in a good place right now. I'm just going to leave it. Once you've taken profit and your stop is at break even, you're in the best possible place to be as a trader. You've already taken money out of the pair. You have no risk of a loss. You have a nice fat distance in pips between your stop and your current price, and you can go for more profit. I mean, that's just where you want to be. So once you are there, especially on something like this, where there's such a big potential for a rebound, you can just leave it and let it sit for weeks, months. I mean, who cares? it's not doing anything but taking up some of your margin, and your stops are break even, so there's really no risk. So you can take other trades even while you have these open. All right, pound Aussie buy. What's the next one? This is also moving within its range. Hasn't gotten to its first profit target, although it did rise quite a bit yesterday, but it hasn't challenged the previous high. So I'm waiting for that to happen and then to punch through and just go a little bit further to get to that first profit target. This also looks good to me. I mean, it's on the 4-hour chart, it's really clear. The triangular moving average is bullish, and price is kind of moving up, even though it's moving in a range, because this low and this low and this low, if you compare them, each next one is higher than the last. So we're just waiting for that next pulse up, and then I think we'll at least be able to take some profit off this trade and move the stop to break even. So like the other ones, we won't have any risk, and we can just sit on it and wait for it to go further to where we've planned for it to go. And for those of you who are impatient to take profit, I've just noticed, and I'll say this over and over again, but when I've taken profit early on a trade, like when I've closed it out because I've gotten impatient and I have a few thousand, we have a few hundred pips sitting there, and I just want to take that profit, I want to book it for the week or something. Then I go back maybe a month later and I look at that pair, and I see that it's hitting the planned profit target for that trade that I took however many weeks ago. And I just realized that by being patient, especially in these situations, that it pays off big. And even if it just does that for you a few times a year out of your trading, when you have this situation, it's going to be a huge percentage of your profits. So it's worth it just to, don't worry, don't look at those numbers going up and down. Like if it hits plus $500 and then it drops back to 300, don't think that you've lost out, because you haven't. It's just ranging. Eventually it's probably going to get to your planned target, and you've already taken some profit out of the trade, so you can be satisfied with that. I think we tend to get greedy and emotional about money that isn't ours until we take it, and by holding out, that's what distinguishes you from other traders, by holding out for these larger profit targets, especially in these situations. And it's going to pay off for you in the end. Finally, let's look at the pound Swiss. This is also still moving in its range. It hasn't broken higher. We were kind of moving up here, and I thought it might break through this supply zone, but it didn't. It was rejected again a little bit and went down to this demand zone again, where it will probably pop up again and continue this range until there's a catalyst for a breakout. But nothing really, no problem with these trades. They're still doing exactly what we would think to do. I mean, the triangular moving average has gone red on the 4-hour chart, but there's nothing else happening. My bias is strongly towards the buy, so I'm just staying in, and we're at least going to get to this monthly pivot here. So that's all the updates I have. The only other thing I want to do is look at the euro dollar and the pound dollar, because we haven't looked at those yet. Pound dollar moving in a range. Again, no clear buy signal at this point. We do have a triangular moving average is bullish, and we have a class B demand zone down here. You could buy it on that signal, except if you look at the recent action of the triangular moving average, is changing color over and over again. So even if you got in that trade, there'd probably be no momentum on it, and you would risk stopping out if there was some volatility in it. It punched through that zone. So at this point, I'm just not comfortable getting into this with additional size. But certainly that in any other condition, that would be a normal place to go ahead and take a second chance entry on this pair and see if you can get up to the higher profit targets with a good risk to reward average. I'm sorry, good average risk to reward ratio. And finally, let's just take a look at the euro dollar and see what it's doing. Now this jumped up actually, which is interesting, and we kind of talked about buying it, but The buy would have been when this triangular moving average changed color plus this class B zone. I think we discussed that before. And under those conditions, you would set a stop just below the recent low. So maybe a 44 pip stop, first target at the weekly pivot, which has been hit, and then the monthly pivot would be the final target at 151. And that's actually done that. So I think next I'm looking for a sell on this pair, to be honest. And with that, I think that's all of our updates. We've had some nice profits this week. We've had some break-even stop outs too. But because we managed our risk, we were able to avoid taking massive losses. There was some risk on the Aussie dollar, and depending on the timing that you took action to get out of that trade, you may have taken a loss on it. But there's bigger winners ahead. Especially, I think even the New Z dollar is going to more than compensate for any losses taken on the Aussie dollar. And to be honest, the Aussie dollar, the first portion of the trade that closed out at the target 1 would have been larger than the maximum stop loss that you would have taken if you stopped out. So regardless, you would have made a little profit on this trade, just because of the way we structured it, because of the way we managed our risk, and because we had a hard stop. So nothing to feel bad about here, no matter what happened for you with this trade. All right, I'm going to check and see if we have any people attending live and if we have any questions in the chat room. At this point, we do not. If you have any questions, please join the trading room group, and you can find that at community groups. And you can post your questions to the group, or you can find me in members, and my handle in members is EZFX. You can send me a private message via that functionality, or you can always just send me an email at ezfxsignal@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and our next trading room is going to be Monday. So I will see you then, and have a great weekend. If you have any questions at all over the weekend, please contact me via any of the methods I described earlier, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.